AO Video Creators Lounge audience, I'm Raj Jawa. I'm stepping in today to interview a award-winning editor, a motion graphics artist, as well as a friend and colleague working here in the Video Creators Lounge, and as well as at Beantown Stady Productions in Lowell. It's Ken Almquist. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing good, Raj. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Glad to have you here.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
I'm glad.
Yeah, a little nervous, but...
Hey, you know what? So am I. So we're going to be nervous together.
Yeah, let's just get that out there right now so people know.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that makes it more relieving as well, because it's out there and it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
You throw it away, like the actors say. So... I just want to jump in. You have a wide variety of skills. You act, you write, you do video editing, obviously, motion graphics, script supervising, assistant directing. You have a lot of skills actually on your resume, and in your professional toolkit. What made you want to tackle like all the things?
I actually got thrown into all the things.
Okay.
It's like you kind of find yourself on set, and like you said, I work with Beantown Studios up in Lowell, and we're a very small crew, and we do a lot of work in-house, and we're very tight-knit. We trust each other. So when projects come up and they need somebody on set to fill like script supervising or assistant directing, like, hey, Ken, come and do this. So, and it actually helps my job when I take the footage into editing too, especially if I was script supervisor, because I'm actually taking my own production notes to work with later on in the process.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I think there is a forgetfulness that script supervisor is very connected to the editor's job.
Basically, it's like a script supervisor can make an editor's job so much easier or so much difficult if they're not proper in how they do their job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What would you say, was there anything specific that brought you to wanting to get into post-production or focus on it?
I found post-production kind of in high school. I was always doing like drama club and stuff like that because I wanted to be an actor when growing up. And my high school had a TV production studio where we started doing like the morning news for the school and stuff like that. And I kind of learned like the old styles of editing with the tape decks.
Oh, really?
And then me and my friends, we would just like make our own home movies kind of in the kind of like Jackass sort of movie stuff.
Sure.
And I found myself with my camcorder plugged into my VCR trying to just like splice everything together on my own. And it was fun. So it was always like putting puzzles together and stuff like that, making something work. So I just started pursuing that further when I went to college and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's great. So you actually have more of the technical expertise of editing too, actually editing to tape and film, I'm guessing, in that way.
Yeah, I've never done the very old where they're actually cutting the film with a razor blade, but I've done like from VHS to VHS.
Interesting. Like that isn't something I have not done, so that I applaud you for that.
It's a tedious process, but it was interesting to learn that. Yeah,
that's great. Oh, well, you know what? That kind of brings us to the next question. I think, most people out there, the layperson out there, doesn't really have the idea of what, how important editing is and what it really does. How it could be like one of the most important aspects of the production process.
Oh yeah, I mean the editing room, like what happens in the editing room can either make or break your project. You could have had issue after issue and just trashed footage throughout your entire production. But if you have a skilled editor, they can take that and turn it into something beautiful. Whereas on the flip side of that coin, if you've had like pristine shots throughout your production, but your editor is kind of novice or half-assed, doesn't care what he's doing, they can destroy your entire project because there's just really so much that goes into what they do. So
that's very true. I mean, it's. I think people don't have that understanding of there's not a lot of flash to the job of editor, and it's very behind the scenes,
very very hidden behind the curtain, and that's kind of the mystique and the magic of the editor. Is basically what makes a great editor is what you don't see. You're watching a piece of film and you're seeing everything flow and put together where your mind doesn't even realize, oh, there was just a cut there, we're looking at a different angle. It just is seamless.
Absolutely. So. I think that's very true. So I think that leads me into why should there's a whole lot of DIY going on. So why should people hire a professional editor instead of just doing it themselves?
Well, it's kind of like I was saying before. The editing can make or break your project. I mean, I understand everybody wants to be a filmmaker. They want to do it themselves, but filmmaking is a collaborative process. And there's no one-man band when it comes to making a great film. And if you love your project, love what you're doing, you're willing to invest so much money into the actual production, you should really invest some money into the post-production as well. Hire somebody who knows what they're doing so they can take your vision and polish it and give you the best product possible.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Everybody on a film set has a particular skill set, so to embrace that, I think, is the way to go.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, there are directors out there that can edit, I'm sure, but if you find your joy out in the field doing the production process, do that, and then give your product to somebody else who can handle the post-production for you, and you can get out and just start filming more.
Well, and I don't. You're being modest. I think to say handle the post-production, like to have someone who has focused and dedicated themselves to that post-production, I think is much more true to your position, I would say.
Yeah, I agree to that.
You know, and I want to know, like, what makes you in particular a good editor? Like, what do you think? Well, I guess that is it. What do you think makes you a good
want
editor?
me to try to toot my own horn a little bit?
Sure, of course, you should. Please, that's why we're here.
I guess I kind of benefit from, I have OCD, and I think in this line of work it benefits because I am extremely detail-oriented, and continuity errors drive me up a wall. Honestly, I've been picking out continuity errors in films ever since I was a little kid. My mom tells me stories about watching One Crazy Summer. There's a scene where John Cusack puts a hat on, and they cut away, and he puts it back on, it's flipped around, and I was like 5. I pointed that out to my mom. So it's like, I won't let continuity errors slide unless absolutely necessary, and if it does, I'm going to try everything I possibly can to make it as less noticeable as possible. So, yeah, I take pride in everything I do. So you're going to get polished, very, very good continuity. So, yeah, very, very pristine details what I go for. I strive for perfection, we'll say.
That's great. I think that's ideal.
Yeah.
Would you say you have a signature to your work, or something that makes it recognizable?
I don't know if I have a signature or something that makes things recognizable. I think I'm a big fan of action movies, so I'll kind of try to throw like an action flair into something that's even comedic. Like we at Beantown, we have our show Kahdiak's Kitchen, and it's a comedy cooking show, which I was not anticipating being an editor for at all in my career. Sure. And they were like, we don't want a typical comedic, typical cooking show. We want you. And I was like, I don't know what that means. So next thing I know, like our host is a goof. He'll drop something. So next thing when he drops, it explodes. And I'll blow up the kitchen and stuff. So just fun little things like that. Like I said, just trying to, like I said before, hide the cuts so you don't realize that there was a cut. Like you'll see an actor performing an action, like say I'm here and I move my hand down, I'll cut on the action of my hand moving down to a different angle where it continues. So it tricks your mind. You don't realize, oh, there was a cut there. You're looking at something else. Sure. Or a conversation like we're having, I'm here talking, the focus is on me, then you start talking. I'm going to wait a beat until I switch the camera to you, because that's how the human naturally functions. Say there's 3 people here in a conversation. You're talking, I'm looking at you. They start talking, they're talking, then I look. And that's how I do it.
Oh, that's great. It sounds very naturalistic.
Yeah. You kind of got to, like, it's intuitive, and you got to make it feel natural and flow. So.
That's awesome. What would you say is your favorite thing or you really love about film and maybe editing as well?
My favorite thing about it?
Yeah.
It's no project is the same. There are no 2 projects that are the same, and it's always like they're puzzles. You're constantly problem solving, and I mentioned this to you a couple of days ago. We were talking. It's really like a puzzle with infinite possibilities, like literally infinite possibilities, because you're dealing with sound, you're dealing with visuals, everything. So you can take anything, and at the end of the day, it's your creation. You take all this work that somebody has provided you, that they've filmed, they hand it to you, and you just go nuts. make it the best thing you can.
That's great. Would you say, is there a particular movie or director that really set you on this path of getting into film production?
I don't think so. I think, well, the movie, like, I'm really big into special effects, and that's, you mentioned I do motion graphics. That's where I have the most fun with motion graphics and special effects. And have you ever seen The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I have not, actually. I'm familiar, but I have not seen it.
Yeah, it is Sean Connery's last movie. I thought it was great. Technically, at the box office, it flopped. But it's like, it's got, Dorian Gray, The Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And when I saw that movie, you got the Invisible Man paint his face on, and then he turns around and you can see the paint behind. And when I saw that, I was blown away. I was like, I want to do that. I want to do stuff like that. So I started researching like post-production, things like that.
That's an incredible amount of detail. That's amazing. What about so how did you come upon this knowledge? Do you have a film education, a background? Are you self-taught?
A little of both. Okay. I have an associate's degree in digital media production. And like I said, I did the TV productions in high school too, but the school I went to was one of those for-profit institutions that several years ago got shut down for fraud and things. So I'm not satisfied with my college education, if you will. So I've basically just taken the reins on my own and started teaching myself. I'm always watching tutorials, like YouTube, phenomenal resource for anybody looking to learn anything as far as filmmaking goes, be it pre-production or post. So yeah, I just watch YouTube tutorials, mimic them, put their influence into my own work, and just go from there. Yeah,
that's awesome. I kind of like the Tarantino aspect of kind of borrowing from everybody, even if it's just simply a tutorial. It's great.
And borrowing from yourself too. I find myself going back. Like, I'll have a project that I did years ago, and I'm like, how did I do that? So I'll be working on this. All right, open this up. There you go.
It's great. You kind of touched on it when you mentioned action, but do you have a type of project or genre you say you gravitate to or prefer working on?
I do like action and like kind of thriller drama stuff. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of comedy with this Kahdiak's Kitchen show, which is a lot of fun. It really is. But as far as stuff that I really want to be working on, it's definitely like the cop drama-esque with like explosions and stuff like that. Yeah. Gunfire.
It's great. No, it's cool. It's great. It's great to branch out too, because you want to get a nice variety of the type of work you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you touched on the special effects. First of all, tell us more about that for you, but maybe for the audience as well. What is special effects if they're not familiar?
Special effects is basically trying to make as realistic as possible an effect you can't do on set. So, I don't know, you'll have practical effects where you've got a legitimate explosion that happens on the set, but then I take that and I'll enhance it. I'll make it like more grand. I do a lot of motion graphics and title design. So, like at the beginning of the movie, you'll see like Batman. You remember the first Tim Burton Batman? The camera's moving through this thing. The shapes look weird. You don't know what it is, but then it zooms out as a bat symbol.
Okay.
Kind of stuff like that. I like doing things like that.
No, that's great. So that answered my question about digital or practical effects. This kind of question is different, creator to creator, and you did touch on it a bit. What do you feel, or what are your thoughts when you look back on your own work, especially work from your past? I guess is
my own work
most important.
I a lot of times I hate it because you're always improving, and I'll look back, especially like my college days. I made a music video in college that will never see the light of day because it's a little embarrassing. I am in it because I couldn't find an actor, and my skill set was just so poor. But it's like, I feel like every project, once it's done, you'll love it. It's the best thing ever. And then you kind of like cradle it's your baby. And then months, maybe a year down the road, you're working on other things. You look back at that project you love so much, you're like, oh my God, what did I do?
I definitely know the feeling. I want to get back to that though in a minute because you mentioned the aspect of you couldn't find anyone to act, but you actually have some desire to act as well. But I want to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Have there been any obstacles that you feel like you've overcome in getting to where you are now?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest one. 2 months after I got my college degree, I was in Boston trying to meet with the admissions office, not the admissions, the career services office, and they were out to lunch. So I was like, all right, I'll go out to lunch too. And while I was out to lunch, I had my headphones on, my backpack that had my editing system, my hard drive with all my portfolio, and my camera. Some tricky bastard swiped it. I lost everything.
Oh, jeez.
So I was like, and I spent years rebuilding because I don't come from money. I work for everything I've got. So I was just like, okay, I've got a job where I'm an editor. I just lost every tool I need, everything I need to market myself, and even some clients' work. That was interesting. I had to make up that. But probably the worst day of my life, I would say. And I spent several years just rebuilding, saving money, buying a new computer, buying a new hard drive, new car. And I was kind of obsessive where, the technology had advanced, but I needed to replace what I had lost. So I was like going back models trying to get that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I did it. I started working and just making my own projects, trying to reach out to people. Hey, do you need this? Do you need that? And I found another obstacle, I would say, is shady clients. I found a client that had me do some work for promotional purposes, like we can't pay you, but we'll promote you, yada, yada, yada. And I did some work, and he started talking to me very much like I was kind of a slave. And I was like, I'm doing work for free, and you're not holding up your end of the bargain, sorry. And he started promoting me as his editor. So he had a falling out with a client, and I'm like, hey, you need an editor? Like, we don't want to work with you. Get out of here. But yeah, it's ridiculous. There are sharks out there that'll take advantage of you. You just got to be careful what you get yourself into. But the experience is good because now I know what to look out for, and I know what I'm doing. So
that's great, and it's inspiring that you're still here. I think some people who don't have the same drive that you do would have given up, and that's great.
I almost did, but it's really what I love doing. I've had the 9-to-5 jobs. I've had plenty of them. I worked a job delivering packages for Amazon, sometimes working 16 hours a day because that's just a ridiculous company to work for. Right. But I just saved up my money, repaired my losses, enhanced my gear, enhanced my skills, and now I'm with Beantown, with VCL. I pick up clients here and there. So just working at it.
That's awesome. What do you have your sights set on for your future as an editor and as a creative in general? I'd
say the Mount Everest, the peak that I want to be is a part of the American Cinema Editors. So I want to just you're at the movies, big screen, edited Ken Almquist, ace. Nice. I just think that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. No, that's awesome.
Nah. Like my favorite stuff to work on, I was saying, is like action stuff.
Yeah.
I'd love to see my name in a DC or a Marvel movie. That would just be like, yes, I made it.
That is, I have no doubt that is well in your future. I have no doubt about that. I do want to finally switch gears here because you wrote, you starred, and you edited a short film entitled Chains.
Chains, yeah.
And that's actually gone on to win Best Thriller Short and Best Narrative Film. So congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Can you tell us more about that film and what inspired that idea?
I saw a preview for a video game where the character is strung upside down and then he's just like pursued by monstrous things. And I'd never even played the game, but I was taken by that scene and I was like, I'm going to write a little script. And this was like 2014. So I just wrote the script of a man strung upside down, has no idea what's happening. And I stored it away like in the digital vault. And at Beantown, we were like, we're bored. We want to enter a contest and just like produce something and get our names out there. So we sat around the table and we pitched our ideas. And I was like, hey, I've got this script from a little while ago. And we read it. Everyone thought it was a great idea. and we just like did like a little writer's room table. We made some changes to it, and then we just ran out and built our set and started producing it. And I actually had to audition to star in my own movie because my DP at Beantown sang he's not just going to hand anything to somebody. He's like, you got to earn it. So he's a great guy. And it was between me and one other kid on the crew, and I ended up doing it better. So we're like, okay. And then I got hung upside down by my ankles for about 7 hours while filming this short. Yeah, and it's about the changes we made. It's about a man who just wakes up upside down, no idea what's going on, but something hints to him that he's in danger, but his daughter may also be in danger. And it's done well so far in the circuit, and it's inspired me to actually expand on it. So now I'm in the process of writing more, kind of trying to go feature length with it to make it a bit of a psychological thriller. Yeah.
Interesting. Would you, in that vein, would you act in the feature as well?
I think so. It was fun, and I don't know, because we're gonna have to, this film. When we filmed it on an iPhone, because the stipulations for the contest we entered, it had to be 3 minutes or less. 1 second over 3 minutes, you're disqualified. So it was perfect, and then had to be on a mobile device, filmed on a mobile device. So our gear that we have at the studio is so much more advanced than an iPhone, and Sang is just phenomenal with the cameras he works with and the lighting and everything like that. We want to get this as pure as possible. So I don't think I'll find another actor that'll say, yes, I'll hang upside down for 7 hours, because we're going to have to reshoot that scene. Yeah. So I'll do it, and I gotta write with myself in mind, like realize what my acting capabilities are, so I don't try to perform something that I can't do.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you have further acting aspirations beyond this film, and for the future?
Like I said, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an actor. So anytime there's a need, I'll jump in. At the studio, we filmed a short film called The Trap. And they needed a 2-line part, and they were like, "Can you get in there?" I was like, well, "Okay, here we go." So it's just I'm comfortable. I get nervous, obviously, I get the little jitters, kind of like I am right now. But yeah, I'll get in front of the camera and act, sure.
Great, no, that's great. The camera will love you. So I think we look forward to that. This is kind of a loaded question, but I think it's important. Why is film important, and why do the arts matter in general?
Well, I mean, think about where we'd be without it. I mean, everywhere you look, there's art. I mean, even the street signs outside, somebody had to design the text to go on those street signs, otherwise everything would be hand-painted. But, I mean, film's an escape for people. I mean, the world's kind of crazy right now, and people get stuck at home, stuck in their own heads. I mean, just people are taking to TV and media a lot more. I mean, they always have been for a long time now, but I feel like right now, it's like people need an escape, and just like, why not immerse yourself in this false reality for a little while? As long as I'm entertaining, then I'm doing my job, and I'm happy about it. So
it's great. There may be aspiring creatives at home wondering how they can get started in an aspect of production, maybe even editing. So what would you say to someone who wants to be in film production but maybe hasn't taken that first step? Like, where do you start?
Just take the step. I mean, Facebook is an amazing resource. There are so many filmmaking groups out there, like Hollywood East Actors Actors Group, Indie Filmmakers Unite. There's just you just look it up, Filmmakers Group, introduce yourself, say, hey, I'm interested in doing this. You're going to get people reaching out, wanting you to help out for free because you got no skills, but then get yourself on set, make relationships with people. If they like you, they'll bring you back, and then you're on your way.
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
That was truly like an enlightening and insightful interview, Ken. I really I do. I want to thank you for being here.
Thanks.
But before we close, I'd love for you to plug your social media, your websites, your work. Where can we get? Where can we find Ken? In the
I do a lot of work trying to build name recognition, so everything about me is just Ken Almquist. I've got kenalmquist.com, facebook.com Ken Almquist, Instagram @Ken Almquist. I don't use Twitter or Snapchat or anything like that. So it's basically Facebook, Instagram, my website.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great. All right. Well, I guess that is going to do it for us in the Video Creators Lounge. I don't know if we're still doing the roundtable discussion. We'll see. If we do, I don't know what the topic will be. It's kind of a self-indulgent week here in the lounge. So if we do, chat with us live. I'll have the laptop open. You can type things to us and we'll respond.
Yeah.
Anyways, with that, we will see you later, creator.